Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jyoti and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my type 2 diabetes diagnosis story. In 2016 was probably one of the lowest points of my life, and it just was a compilation of things. I was really struggling with myself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, just every way possible. I remember being so depressed and waking up feeling like I had no purpose in my life whatsoever. I felt miserable. I felt like I failed my family. I felt so many different things, and I really felt like I had no purpose in my life. And I even thought of, ending everything, which I'm so grateful I didn't. It's really hard to talk about 2016 because it was one of the most challenging years of my life. And at the time, I was 27 years old. So this one night, I was just not feeling right. I felt like I had shakes from within me, and it just felt something was off. I just felt like I needed to go to the hospital. The night before, I was talking to a friend and I was just having such excessive thirst and then also urination. I just was like, what is going on? I was so thirsty, like beyond anything in the world. I felt like I could drink the ocean. I was that thirsty. And I remember I was going to the bathroom very frequently and my skin was really itchy for some reason, and I was not understanding like what all of this was. I just thought maybe it was from the sun because I already have sun allergies. My skin does flare up, but no, it was like a different kind of itch. My sun allergy, only my neck from here will flare up, or my hands. This was like on my arms, this was like on my legs, on my stomach. So a lot of different areas where I experienced the itching, and I just thought to myself, okay, like obviously something is wrong with me and I need to go get checked. So I went and told my dad, I'm like, hey dad, I'm just gonna go to the emergency because I'm really not feeling well. I told two of my friends who I was really close to at the time what was going on with me, and they showed up for like moral support. So we're all in the hospital together. It was one of the most difficult nights of my life because after 4 hours of waiting, I go in, get my blood test, get all these different tests done. And in front of both my friends, the doctor asked me, obviously, he's like, are you okay if I share this in front of you or both your friends with you there? And I was like, yeah, it's totally fine. I wasn't really expecting anything other than like, oh, you're just sick or something, or it's nothing too serious, right? Or maybe you just have a rash. Oh my goodness. He's like freaking out. He's telling me, oh my god, your sugars are 21 millimoles per liter, like they're serious right now, you need to get help. So I just didn't know how to process that, and my friends were like freaking out next to me. You know, when you're just given that type 2 diabetes diagnosis and you're just like, hey, what? That was honestly the case for me, and I didn't really know how to process that at all. My friends could only help me so much in that moment. They were there for the moral support, and I really do appreciate both of them even to this day. I told them, I'm like, hey, listen, you guys should go home, because they were about to put me on an insulin drip. So they gave me insulin that night and I stayed overnight at the hospital, and in my mind I'm like, oh my god, what did I do to myself? How did I come about this way of life? I never in a trillion million infinite amount of years would have thought that I got type 2 diabetes at the age of 27, because I would always hear that like people a little bit older than me, probably around their 50s or 60s, would get type 2 diabetes, but I had never heard of anyone having type 2 diabetes at my age. I was the only person in my life that even knew that I had type 2 diabetes at age 27. There was nobody on the internet I knew that had it. There was nobody in my personal life that I knew that had it. And then I started doing a lot of research. But before the research, I went through a period of losing my mind. I felt like I had this lifelong illness that was not reversible, that I could not cure, that I couldn't do anything. It felt like such a death sentence to me. I would cry every night. I just felt like my life was over, you know, like that there was nothing left anymore in my life because I had this type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And I'm really not trying to cry here, but it makes me feel so emotional because I remember the struggle that I had to put myself through just to feel okay and that I'll be okay and I'll try to somehow manage this. But before all of that, like, I had developed severe anxiety because I had this illness now, the type 2 diabetes diagnosis illness, and I was told that I was going to die with this, that I had no escape from this, and that this was now my life. It was so hard for me to process and even accept that that was the case for me. I genuinely started like freaking out. I didn't know how to control my emotions. I developed the worst anxiety in my life. It became so debilitating. I had to quit my job. I couldn't drive. I just felt like the type 2 diabetes was taking control of me. The thought of dying from it or having heart disease, like, I felt like I had no control whatsoever. My type 2 diabetes really made me suffer for a bit there. It wasn't that my sugars were so elevated anymore. They were coming down with the metformin and the walking that I was doing. But before that, I remember that I could not fathom the fact that this was an irreversible disease. I thought I was just literally gonna die with type 2 diabetes at any moment in my life because I heard so many scary stories about people dying in their sleep, about going into diabetic comas, about ketoacidosis, complications like getting their feet cut off or amputations other places, you know, so many things that people experience with diabetes. And I was like, I'm only 27. How could I do this to myself? And that was the biggest wake-up call of my entire life in that time. And I just was determined to find a way to help heal myself. Like, I just knew innately that this is not it. Like, I needed to do something, anything. I would give anything to just be in balance with myself. And not only that, but I've never been like a normal size. I've always been plus size. So I've never really been a healthy weight, I should say. And that is something that I really wanted to focus on at the time too. So I was 360 pounds, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Like, my life was a living hell, which nobody created other than myself. Like, I take full accountability of how I treated myself and what I put myself through to get to that point. And, you know, I learned a lot from that experience that I went through. I feel so connected to the universe. I just was one day praying and crying and hoping that, you know, I would find a solution. And I swear to you, one night I was just browsing YouTube and I came across all these like plant-based doctors like Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. Neil Barnard, Holy Rock Christina. I remember just diving into all of that and then doing a lot of research that way. And the things that they were talking about really intrigued me. And I was like, okay, what do I have left to lose? And then all of a sudden I came across Mastering Diabetes, which honestly, I was just like a little skeptical at first because they were telling you to eat all this fruit and stuff. But at the time I was not financially stable either, so I wasn't able to join their program. But I remember following their Instagram, and at the time I just ate whatever they would post on their feed. So if they posted like fruit, certain kinds, I would just bring that and eat that. I didn't like sitting down and eating a salad. So what I started doing is I started making a green smoothie every single day. Like, I was pounding my greens back. I kid you guys not. Like, I have never in my life noticed such a huge change in my life till I started doing green smoothies. I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is something that worked for me. When I got diagnosed at the time, I was only taking metformin. The other video that I posted before this, which was my medications that I take, obviously I take a lot more now because I had another period in my life where it wasn't so great, but we'll get to that later. I, at the time back then, started doing green smoothies, and within 6 months of me doing green smoothies and eating mostly raw, I would eat a lot of cooked food too, but the one thing that I did was that before I ate anything, I would have 2 liters of green smoothie. I know that's a lot, but when you put it into the Vitamix and you blend it up and you add your water, it made 64 ounces of green smoothie for me. That's just how I made it, and in a separate video I will definitely share with you how to make a green smoothie the way I did for my blood sugars. But within 6 months of me doing this, my A1C at the time was 12%, so I was diagnosed with an A1C of 12%. And in 6 months, it dropped down to 5.6%. And my doctor's like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And I had the same doctor that supported the plant-based diet that I was talking about in my previous video. So yeah, I was just so happy. I was so proud of myself for doing such a huge change in my life and just getting better. I just was so happy. I got off all my medication, which was basically just metformin. And I remember just living life again, and I was so floored, and I continued doing the green smoothies. Hi everyone, so it is a new day. I wanted to refilm this part of the video because the other one was so bright you could not even see me. So I thought I would sit down and refilm my type 2 diabetes today. So I actually recently went to go get a blood test done, and my blood test was really bad. My A1C today is at a 14%. That is higher than when I first got diagnosed. I also had high cholesterol, my triglycerides were high, my hypothyroidism came back, I had to go back on Synthroid, and my PCOS got worse, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. I was really surprised, but at the same time I wasn't that surprised because the past 10 months I've had a very sedentary job, and I was struggling with, my mental health, and my job was so intense. It was taking away from my life more than adding any kind of value to it. I know that I worked really hard in this job that I was at, but it really made me sick because I didn't ever have time to make myself something good in the time that I was given, even though I was working at home. I just chose bad options, like I would Uber eat food, I would do skip the dishes or DoorDash or whatever. Everything was like really convenient for me in these past 10 months. And in the past 10 months, my sugars, my health, just everything deteriorated. And it was such a huge wake-up call because every night I get scared. I just always feel like, is this my last day or something? Because I always feel so sick, and I just don't want to feel like that anymore. I had a very, very sedentary 10 months, and all I did was work. I didn't even exercise that much. I didn't eat clean. I had a very high-fat diet. I was struggling with my mental health too, and I was going through some personal things. I always felt like I had no purpose. It just was never satisfying for me, I just didn't know how to deal with myself. In turn, I got really sick, and every single day I just feel still so sick. This is why I just thought that at this point in my life, I really want to take care of my health and the things that I'm going to be doing going forward with my life, which I've already started doing actually. I'm first going to be doing a 30-day green smoothie fast for myself. This really helps me break my food addiction. It's helped me so much in the past too. I am someone that gets addicted to food fast. Like, I would not care for any drugs or any other thing. Food is a drug in itself, and it's very highly addictive. And I'm not gonna lie, I get addicted to certain kinds of foods very fast. So far, I've just been doing green smoothies every morning and then eating like something in the evening with my medication, but I am fully doing 30 days of just green smoothies. I have been trying to incorporate more green smoothies into my diet, and I'm at that point where I'm fully ready to just do the green smoothies. So for me, yeah, I've been transitioning into, like, you know, this whole lifestyle. It's really hard to break food addiction if you have it, especially if you use it to like numb the pain, or if you just eat out of boredom. You know, those things really do affect us in a negative way. Obviously, you know, it has affected me in a very negative way. I'm really sick with type 2 diabetes. I have diabetic neuropathy going on in my foot. This one day, like, my whole leg was numb. My arm goes numb sometimes too. This is just not the life that I want to live for myself, and it's just like the most disgusting way of living for me. I'm not judging anybody and how they live, but this is just, for me, I can't do it anymore. Like, I can't hurt myself with food anymore, and I really want to change my life for the best, because I don't want to wake up at a certain age and be like, oh, I'm still the same. I need to take action now, and I have been. And being vulnerable about my journey, it takes a lot for me to like open up about this, because I don't even share this like with my close family members or friends. The things that I'm going to be doing through my journey, so the first step through all of this for me is to do a 30-day green smoothie fast. Just green smoothies for an entire 30 days. I don't even care if I get bored of them. It has to be green smoothies. It cannot be just fruit smoothies. It has to be either a vegetable smoothie or a green smoothie. The second phase to my healing is to eat a lot of raw foods. I'm not somebody that's gonna sit here and be like I'm a raw foodist, because I'm not. I live in Canada, we get -40 weather, and naturally I crave something warm in the winter time. Like, I just don't see myself being raw like that. I'm somebody that does not like to put labels onto myself, especially for my diet, because I think diet is something very personable to everybody. But I am also following the work of whole food plant-based doctors. This is something that I've done research on and what I've used and done before. So I know what I'm doing for myself. And, you know, again, diet is very personable to everyone. So once I'm done my 30-day green smoothie fast, I plan to just eat whole foods, plant-based, no processed foods, no sugar alternatives, nothing. I just want a period in my life where I just eat completely whole food, plant-based, and really develop a lifelong eating habits and healthy choices. I want to take the time out to really focus on getting better. This is not like some temporary short-term fix for me. It's honestly something that I'm going to be working for a healthier life for the long term. This whole food plant-based diet is not just a phase for me, it's a complete lifestyle change for me. That doesn't mean I have to give up my personality or things that I like. I think that it's okay if you're traveling or if you're doing things with your close family members or whatever. It's okay to indulge. So for a reference, I'm somebody that doesn't eat meat, but I have had seafood. Everything for me now in life is for me to become the best version of myself going forward, because I've spent a lifetime treating myself like shit because other people would treat me like shit. So I just thought like there was no value in me. But as I grew older and older, and now that I'm 33 and I see a lot of life and its truths, it really makes me appreciate getting to know myself more and like being in my own little bubble and doing things that make me happy, because I can't save the world, but I can definitely make my world a lot happier and nicer to be in. And you know, when you treat yourself with kindness and respect, it really ripples onto other people. You just want to make sure that you treat yourself kindly, because at the end of the day, self-love is so important for your own healing and the healing of others around you. So I always keep that in mind. Those are the things that I do plan to just focus on for now in my life. I don't really know what the future has to hold, but I really am excited to just start healing. All the negativity has left my life. I've chosen to only live my life with positivity, purpose, and meaning. I make sure that every day counts for me, because you know, with everything that happened in the world these past 2 years, you just never know what life has to hold. There's a lot of surprises. But yeah, I just want to make sure that in this one life that I'm given, that I treat myself kindly and really learn to live an authentic, beautiful, and joyful life. I mean, life has a lot of ups and downs in it. Nothing is perfect. I'm never gonna be trying to achieve perfection in life, because that's just part of being human, you know? But yeah, those are the things that I am working on towards in my life to better my health and well-being. Of course, I will share everything with you guys, and this is actually really fun for me. Like, I feel like I'm talking to a really good best friend, even though, like, you know, I don't get that many views on my videos. It's fine. It's just like a nice way for me to kind of release like my inner thoughts, and yeah, it's nice. Like, you know, it's nice. I hope that you guys have a wonderful, beautiful day wherever you're watching this from, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.